All right, so we wrapped up the Christmas warehouse event. I'm gonna show some pickups here. It's down to the final hour. It's time to go over the weekend's pickups at the Largo Minicon 3 yesterday. And then this thing today. Probably missing a few things. Sometimes I pick something up and then within an hour trades out, so unfortunately I can't capture everything that I got. Let's take a look. And then we're going to look at some PS1 games, which again, I would love to show some cool PS1 games, obscure recommendations, but Phil's been selling some cool stuff. So I better capture it while he's still got PS1 left, because it was selling today. So these are big box displays that you would see at like GameStop. And I didn't really want them, but I got the space for them. They're cool. Put this stuff in the warehouse, kind of in hopes. It looks cool. It's here. And if anybody ever points at it and says, "Hey, how much you want for that?" I'll just know I didn't have much into it. Like 20 trade, 10, something like that. I think he just tossed that one in for free, but it came out to 40 trade for all of them. Certainly don't sell these on eBay, but to the right person that loves the game, wants to have it. It's cool to have that weird stuff when you got room for it, which I do. And this is some collector's edition, some ultra edition, the best edition of Saints Row 4. It's got like statue and other stuff in there. Another thing that like I don't want to list it on eBay and ship it, but hopefully I find the right person that'll trade for it. So when it comes to taking that stuff in, the guy was another guy that kind of wheels and deals and sells a little bit, collects, and he doesn't want it to bother on eBay with it. So I was like, well, he said it's worth about 80. I took his word on it. I was like, let's call it 50 and trade then. If he's gonna pick up like a $50 DS game or something, then I'm gonna pick up an $80 big lunker kind of deal. Grab this Metroid because it has a cool label on it. I always like that second print Metroid. Harder to find. A lot of people would rather have this than the other label Metroid. Traded, I remember exactly what I traded here. I traded an MS Saga for these 3. I feel like there might have been something else in the deal. Oh, and these 4 for complete in box MS Saga, a Mobile Suit Gundam RPG on PS2. Very hard to find. I got some juice for it. Got a hardcore Resident Evil collector in Northwest Florida that I've never been able to help out with his collection because he's got almost everything he needs. But I asked him if he needed the collector's edition of Operation Raccoon City. He didn't have it. I grabbed it. Some 3DS. I'm getting ready for the 3DS Apocalypse coming in March when that eShop goes down. I think people will start freaking out for 3DS stuff. So some of it's just cheap eBay junk, Star Wars games or some Lego games to lot together. But I feel like this one's pretty obscure. Remember looking into it a while ago and thinking like, wow, there's not too many out there. Goofy game. I think it's similar to the one that's on the Wii. It's also similar to the one that's on PS2. Like decent game. For $10, sometimes it's just for the price. It's like, why not, man? And trade 32 trade on that. I'll take that. Paid cash on this. I didn't even look into it on eBay. I'm sure I got a good value on it, but I don't really do Switch stuff too often. But when it comes to Metroid, Nintendo first party collector's edition, that's really well done for such a popular IP, like $75. Sure, why not? If somebody wants to buy it from me and I sell it for 80 or whatever, sell it for 75, whatever. It's just nice to have that kind of thing here for the right person. Somebody I like, I'll sell it for 75. If I don't like them, I'll sell it for 100. Blue Dreamcast controller. Don't see those too often. These are a good buy right now, so that's a recommendation. They have a black one, they have a blue one. I think there's a pink one, might be a yellow one too, but these don't really go for a premium like N64 Fantastic controllers do. So, you can probably get this on eBay for around $20, 25 ship maybe. So go for that over a regular controller if you're into just, you know, more collectible, harder to find, better aesthetics. This is something that, for the price, I think it was like 10 trade. And the dude's like, I couldn't find anything on it. Couldn't find any listings. Like, I don't know what the price it at really. And I'm like, I like the sound of that. I like when stuff's so bizarre and obscure that it's hard to look up, you know, for that DS super dork who has a full set and wants oddities like this. I'll get that for cheap. Here's a little shmup on the PSP. It's like claymation graphics. It's cheap, man, and it's pretty solid. Good value if you're into shmups. You have a PSP, Platypus. Alright, I'm almost done here, and then I'm going to look at some Phil PS1 games. This is one of my favorite pickups today. It's kind of like a Mystery Dungeon Final Fantasy spin-off. So it's got that Mystery Dungeon gameplay style. Kind of like how there's Tornico for the Dragon Warrior series. It's a Mystery Dungeon Dragon Warrior game, Tornico. You got Chocobo's Dungeon 2. Said Mystery Dungeon style game. My big heavy pickup. Weird one that, like, personally I'm not really into, but just for flipping sake, brand new, never been opened. Still got the security seal on it. Star Wars Edition 360. Trade value on that was $600. But, you know, I'm moving a bunch of like $50 pieces that, I don't know, they weren't really moving. They weren't easy cash movers. If that makes sense. $50 games, but they're not. Maybe if I had them priced at $40, they'd be moving better. So I feel like I got good value on my $50 games and just traded a small batch of games to trade up for one heavy. Again, the guy didn't want to bother with eBay with something so big and chunky, but I'll take it. So those are my pickups. Phil's still set up here, so I wanted to take this, possibly one of the last times to see this much quality PS1 all spread out. Fortunately I can say yesterday at the Largo Minicon, I got to catch him when he had everything, all the heavies. Well, he did there's more stuff here today than yesterday, but some of the cool ones have sold. Phil, do you know what some of your coolest ones were that sold? I guess it's a very subjective question.
The heavy stuff, not anything too wild. Rival Schools.
Eric bought your Rival Schools, huh?
Bought that, and bought my Ogre Battle and my other Ogre Battle.
You know how I guessed that? Like 5 years ago at the flea market, we did a trade event, and he swung by, and I had a Rival Schools, and he bought it for me also.
Really?
He's like, I just love this game.
It's a good one.
And when we were talking about Dreamcast, he brought up Project Justice, so he must be a fan.
Those are big ones. That's all.
Okay. Man, so he didn't really buy volume from you. It was just most of that 700-ish that he spent was in those 3 titles pretty much. So those are kind of just iconic rares. That's not the cool stuff I wanted to show. Some of the cool stuff that I wanted to show that's already sold was Floating Runner. Austin just has good taste. We have a guy locally that he thinks like Phil and myself, where it's like if he's got $300 to spend, there was only one game that was beckoning him, calling him.
He wanted down.
He wanted Kudelka. He was like, man,
$300.
And I think he spent between yesterday and today.
$350.
Right. So, but he's just like me, where it's like, if I've got $300 to spend, do I want to put it into one fancy piece, or do I want to get a lot of
a bunch of stuff to try out?
Right, and a bunch of just games that are just as rare as Kudelka, but they just don't command the same price. So a couple that he got that I really liked were, Tale of the Sun was another guy.
That was yesterday.
Tale of the Sun's a real cool, obscure. Again, just you get cool points when you own games like Tale of the Sun, complete in nice shape. Hard to find that game looking good. Hard to find that game in general. Floating Runner was another one.
Oh, I sold my trombone. That was the other one.
Chris, the homie Chris got your trombone. What did you sell that for?
$5.
And he paid the cash, huh? Yeah. $500 for trombone.
Give him a little bit of real price on that.
I feel for the condition that thing was in.
I was asking $6, but I know Chris was going to try and squeeze it, so I'll take the $5.
Oh. So. Best of luck to him.
He's got he already listed it, so.
800, probably more.
I think
900.
750. So.
Okay, that's a modest little
Yeah.
little margin he's trying to make. Nice copy.
He thinks he can do a quick play so.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
You still got your Lomax, huh?
Yes, sir.
I think that's a good one, bang for your buck. Again, pretend I've got $1,000. You can only go so wild with $1,000, especially on this table.
I got some
$1,000 isn't going to get you a whole lot if you're going, I want that one, that one, that one. It feels like you don't have enough money at $1,000. Nah, you might. That might be on the nose.
Might
or
be
something.
right on the nose.
That might be very close. But
4, 5, 6, 7.
that's the game.
I would say about 1,000.
About 1,000.
Yeah.
The game I'm about to play is how would I spend my 1,000? I'm not going to be all calculated, but I'll tell you, I'm grabbing Lomax. I mean, that's if Phil's being obedient to trends, and I think Phil's very fair.
I want 3 for it.
He wants 3. I think a lot of collectors would be like, but it's worth $250.
Yeah, no, it's like $250. I want 3 for it though.
A gorgeous copy. That's the thing, is like that game's so rare, barely ever pops up, and when it does, you got to kind of settle for the condition that it pops up in. So gorgeous. Another example is sitting right next to it.
You're gonna buy a bunch of stuff, and I consider dropping a little bit.
Okay, got you. I like that. So if I'm spending 1,000, I might be able to get that down
I might get
to
like $250.
Ooh, I really like that.
Yeah,
I'd be grabbing that.
Yeah.
This is another one that's a mint copy. Is you can really kind of name your own price on a piece like this.
Price, I'm gonna be honest with you.
This is
no clue to price that game.
This could be the rarest game on PS1.
I think it's the rarest game I own.
A lot of times the rarest game is going to be some shovelware turd game, and on PS1 on a library this size, like it's not going to command a lot of value just because it's rare. It's when a game is very rare and it's in like a small set that a turd of a game can be very expensive. I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example. I know the Neo Geo Pocket library pretty well, and there's some crappy casino games that are some of the most expensive games on the system, and it's just because they're rare. Now, on a library as big as the PS1, rarity alone isn't enough of a perk, of an attribute to cause high value. You can be very rare, very crappy, very undesirable title, and it's just going to always stay.
Greatest hits blitz.
But yes, and that's the thing about that John Hancock game, is that there's only like 10 of them out there.
Yeah.
I think there's only like 4 or 5 that have ever been confirmed. People can hold up and say, I have one. So anybody that tries to complete that greatest hits set, they'll get cock-blocked by NFL Blitz.
Best of luck, dude.
2000 greatest hits. So anyways, this one is cool because it has that extreme rarity factor on top of being SNK, very iconic IP there with Samurai Showdown. And pretty solid game. Phil doesn't really care for the game.
It's all right.
Gameplay wise.
I think the third one's much better.
Yeah.
Samurai Showdown 3.
It plays like a 2D fighter but with 3D sprites, if I remember right. But just about as rare as it gets. Phil was also trying to go for jewel case when jewel case existed. He'd go for long box when it was like it's only long box, or settled for long box. But games like Kingsfield jewel case variant, it's very hard to find. Do you have the phone card in there?
I have no idea. Maybe.
You have the phone card in that other game,
yeah.
Alone in the Dark. This one might not have ever had a phone card. I know the long box.
Inside of one of them.
The long box of this game had a phone card. Oh, but I gotta be objective here. My objective was to pick out my 1,000. Boy, that's tough, man, because there's a lot of ones where I want it, man. I want Power Slave, but that one commands a juicy price tag. Do you know off the top of your head roughly Power Slave? 120 or something?
Around there, yeah.
That's going to chew up my budget. I might be able to do better. I might prefer Hogs of War for 55 or something.
There's a map.
Hogs might be more than that. Yep, that's something to remember. Kingsfield 2. Little insert there. You want 100% CIB Kingsfield 1. I think it has a phone card. Not sure about Jewel version. I didn't stop to admire the cool trilogy you have there with Kingsfield 2, and Shadow Tower. Some for the longest time I never realized was, I think on PS2 Age Tech Games it says, but Age Tech stands for Aussie Game Entertainment Technology or something like that, but Age Tech is a rebranding of Aussie. So, and it kind of makes sense. A lot of these games that were originally Aussie Not sure if I'm saying that right.
I'll see.
They became H-Tech. Two publishers that tend to be low print tend to have some sweet titles. Got your Echo Knight. Okay, but for the money, Echo Knight's expensive. I'm gonna overlook it. I want to pick out a game that I'm one Metal Jesus video away from hitting the jackpot. You know what I'm saying, Phil? Where it's like, man, I bought that game when it was 60. Metal Jesus loved on it. Now you can't get it for less than 150, and I'm a proud owner. So I look for those gems, But the more time goes on, the harder it is to get a damn gem. I got a fun fact about. I'm gonna waver from objective to tangents. Fun fact about Dragon Ball GT Final Bout. This really was one of your first modern games. This game isn't that old, but it's out of print and has extreme demand, and was going for bonkers money around the year 2000, 2001. Back then, this game's maybe 3 years old at that time, but because anime was getting so popular and this was such a good fighting game for the time, this game was commanding $200 early 2000s. And then in 04, Atari did a reprint, totally different cover, less, different collectability now, but it really dropped the value of this, and it's never fully recovered. So it's just a fun fact that, especially if you account for inflation, this game was absurdly heavy long before games were very valuable. We're talking about when Tales of Destiny 2 was probably a $30 game. This was a $200 game back then. And, people do respect it a lot nowadays. You don't see another feature of this game is try finding a really minty one. Even Phil's manual isn't that great on this copy. Kind of had to settle for one that's in, I don't know, maybe 7 out of 10 condition. But a real prize of a game would be this game sealed, or just super mint copy of this. That's some cool points there. That's some hipster points. That's a rad game to get that real nice shape.
Here's a game I think that's underappreciated.
Yeah.
I think it's a heavily underappreciated game.
That would be one. I would lean that over dollar for dollar over some of these heavies. I feel.
I think the game's fantastic.
Was it around 60?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It should be worth more than that.
Yep. I like those games, in my opinion, have aged pretty well. Where they're that old school tank control kind of game.
Super fun game though.
Yeah. I like it. Hard to find one. So I'd say Lomax is big on my list. It's kind of what I said about Final Bout. You can say that about Team Buddies too, man. Team Buddies used to outweigh Suikoden 2. You used to be able to buy 2 copies of this for the same price as one of those back in the early to mid 2000s. For whatever reason, just over the years, this one kind of stayed plateaued. Didn't really rise. I guess it makes sense, right? The RPGs becoming a more and more popular genre. This game is just blown by Team Buddies, but Team Buddies has always been a rare one, always been valuable. Unlike Lomax, back when this was a $200 game in the mid 2000s, this was probably a $30 game, $20 game, 20 tops, I'd say. So some of these super rare hidden gems that are legitimately great games were just totally under the radar. And some of them were desired, were sought after. Sorry, Phil, I'm kind of monologuing. It's for my YouTube channel, Phil. Have patience with me. I'm almost done. Wait, you got a lot more I got to look through.
There's a shit ton of stuff.
All right, I'll be quick. Van Ark, another one, good bang for your buck, I feel. Even though we're in the heavier tier with Van Ark, I still like the $180 dollar for dollar. Phil probably wants a little more for that copy because it's brand new. It's brand new.
Yeah.
You removed the cellophane on that one.
I would say I'd be close to 200.
Yeah, for one that's literally seal removed. Strider 2 is one that I like for the money. I know it's costly. It's gone up a
I
lot,
have an idea.
but still such a good game.
I'll bring the box up here.
Okay, you packing up?
No. Well, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
I'll bring the
Stuff
box
I've covered over.
so you can look at it.
Fantasy Race, one of the rarest Atlas games on the PS1, and we're talking about a game, if you catch it at the right time, you might be able to get this for under $100 on eBay. I see it slip from time to time, auction style. It's like people aren't actively looking out for this like a lot of these other more collectible titles, but talk about very playable game. It's aged very well visually. Fun Mario Kart style game. Atlas, say no more, right? Bomberman, that's another thing, is you get the perk of the Bomberman IP. When is Bomberman gonna have a big title where Bomberman gets popular again? I think it's more likely than not that will happen at some point, where Bomberman will be more popular in the future than it is at this current point in time. And that's a good reason to go for that now, before a possible future where Bomberman just becomes a more heavily focused on IP that people collect, you know? All right, let's check this box out real quick. Got the jammer. Did you sell Parapper?
No, I still have.
Oh, it's right there. Let me keep them next to each other. Let me let them touch. That's how you gotta do it, man.
Every time we turn.
That's how you gotta do it. Make sure they don't leave each other. Got Trag. I feel like that one's a good value right now. I mean, it's plateaued. It's where it should be, you know? You're not really getting a good score on that one. You're not scoring because you found it early. I saw Kingsley's Adventure, and I just thought of Herc's Adventure. You never got Herc's Adventure, did you? Haven't seen one in a long time. Poi Poi. About a 60 now? Mm-hmm. Okay. Not bad. Not a bad one to consider as far as being a fan favorite. A lot of people are super nostalgic for it. I never really got into it, but fun party game, multiplayer game. I think it's 4-player. Definitely hard to find. Could absolutely see some YouTubers saying, man, one of the greatest games that people have forgotten about is Poi Poi. And I think you'd be able to sell this one. I think people would agree and get it sooner than later. I'd say that's a good $60 to spend out of your $1,000 budget with Phil. Get you a Poi Poi. Nah. I like me Rising Zam, but where it's at in price right now, I'd pass on it. Bomberman World, Phil, I talked about it yesterday, but Phil agreed. Phil later was telling me, man, this game is great. Plays kind of like old school.
That game's surprisingly crazy expensive.
Yeah, it's one I wouldn't want for what it's going for right now.
100.
Yeah.
This game's crazy.
I mean, I think just the hardcore fan base keeps it up there.
Probably the first one to spike too.
Yeah, that's right. That isn't the first one. Yeah, you've got the other one too, and that other one's like a 80, 90 or... Yeah, this is the one that has a phone card in it. Another one I like bang for your buck on a piece like this. Pay around $40 for one that doesn't have that phone card. It's pretty damn hard to find. You know, people are with their survival horror. Soul of the Samurai, Phil pointed that one out. This one just has a rad front cover.
That's the one I feel is better too. Another one. It's such a better game.
I've always loved that front cover. I don't think that one's too expensive, no?
30.
Oh,
35. Yeah.
Buy that. I might put that one on my tab.
That's not what I'm selling it for. No, just
yeah. R-types. Nah. You got R-type Delta? I think I asked you. No. I'd like me an R-type Delta. Very late release. Let's see if it says 2001. Huh. I thought it was 04 for some reason. You don't see that one every day, man.
I've actually never seen that aside from when I got that from you originally.
Right?
I've never seen that game.
Like that, talk about an obscure title. Although I wouldn't be too surprised if you look online, it's like there's sealed copies. Like maybe Deal Tavern has it because it being a late release. Yeah, I'll bet you it's because sealed copies kind of hold it down. That's my guess. Buster Bros is great value, man. I like that one. Yeah. Yep, very fun. Aged fantastically. I'm not sure how many other Capcom compilations have Buster Bros games on them, but that's a fun one, man. I can get into that game. Talked about Dynasty Warriors yesterday. For what it goes for now, kind of a niche one. Not bad, you know, if you're into horror. I feel like that's a decent $150 to spend. I like this one a lot for sub $100 for how rare this game is. It's a surprisingly playable, fun 2-player shmup with a pretty unique visual style to it. And I think Monster Rancher games right now are a good value. Again, for the whole, like if you're into it, if you dig it, if you know what it is and you're like, I've been wanting it, I say you might want to pick them up now where they're at. Again, for all the love I receive from those games, those Monster Rancher games, from fans of the series at anime conventions. People go nuts when they see that game. The 4th tends to be the fan favorite, but 2, also the first one. 3 gets kind of shit on. But those Monster Rancher games, man, have some hardcore fans that, we're talking about people that if you had it priced, they have no idea what it's worth, but it's like Monster Rancher 4, it's hard to find. I want $140. Somebody would buy it. Mm-hmm. It'd be criminal to overcharge them like that, but it's that kind of a game. And so it's with that reasoning that I say, like, where Monster Ranchers are priced at now, it wouldn't surprise me if they ended up jumping in price, because they seem to have the gameplay merit for, they're deserving of a high price tag. They're worthy of a high price tag in the eyes of gamers and collectors. Very rare title. Talked about it yesterday. I won't go into it again. I like me Punky Skunk just because you never see it. It's part of a Jalico set that if you wanted to just knock out, if you wanted to collect PlayStation 1, here's a good way to collect PS1, is go buy subsets of publisher. Like, I want to get all the H-Tech games. I want to get all the Jalico games. I want to get all the Sunsoft games. And if you were to collect by Japanese publisher, all the Hudson games, you'd find that you have these small sets, libraries of small set sizes of maybe 12 games, maybe 20 games in some cases, 25, and they would all just have a cool, similar style to them as far as the packaging goes. Gameplay would be, Japanese made. They'd have that kind of style to them. Just quirky games. Jalico's a cool set. Punky Skunk's one of the rarer ones. Gekiga, I've talked about that one before, so I won't go in too deep. It's a 3D beat 'em up. Hard to find one. Evil Zone, people know. Broken Sword, Phil, I think we've talked about this one. You love you some Broken Sword?
I actually like that game.
I like Broken Sword a lot. If you're into the point and clicks. I didn't see the first one, but it's probably in here. Oh, jeez. Yeah, it's on like so many systems though. It's on the Wii. I think it's on the DS, GBA.
Yeah, it's actually a good game too.
Yeah, love it. I haven't played the second one to be honest, but I played the first one and definitely held my attention. Like, this story was engaging enough to want to play through it. You got any other point and clicks that you recommend? The Discworld games you were saying are pretty good. Mm-hmm. Discworld 1 and 2.
Cool.
North by Northwest is basically Lost Vikings 2 on SNES. Yep. It's the same game, just with kind of redone sprite work and backgrounds, etc. So, it's a money title on SNES. It's got good gameplay to it. And PS1 and Saturn are both pretty uncommon. So, maybe good bang for its buck. Probably around a 30 or 25, or I don't know exactly. But if you're into it, get it on the PS1 instead of the SNES.
Is really good.
Isn't that like a Marble Madness?
It's like a really good puzzle game. It's actually awesome.
Like a Super Monkey Ball.
It's more like Super Monkey Ball. You gravity and you're like...
Looks great. It looks like it passed for a PS2 game based on these screenshots.
It's a very addictive game.
Psygnosis was great with those 3D games. That was really their
how many puzzle games
expertise.
I absolutely love? That's like one of my top 3 probably.
It's gotten love from other people too. I've heard. So you paid $22.99. You probably got it on a buy two get one. Probably got it on a little.
Was it M&M? I got it for less than that.
That's a cool one.
I got it for $15.
A lot of those Psygnosis games are just plain uncommon to ungodly
it's
rare.
Like a 40er. So,
is it now?
Yeah, it's like a 40er.
Wow, man.
Yeah, it's good.
It's rolled away.
It's rolling down there.
It's rolling up, man.
That's an underrated one.
Boy, is that uncommon.
Yeah, that's an underrated one. That's Westwood, too. That was a PC company.
I remember looking into this game's gameplay. It's on PC, obviously. You don't want to play it optimally. You play it on PC, but looks
Westwood
fine.
Made a
Looked
lot
good.
of good games in that era.
Yeah.
That was a port to PS1.
Yep.
I've never played it, so I don't know if it's like awful.
It looked good from what I saw, but shame on me for saying this game's good just because it looks good. But
it's a fun one.
This one gets love too. I haven't played it, but it looks like your prototypical 3D action.
It's pretty what you'd expect.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
Hack and slash adventure game. There you go. So one of the games you sold to a guy here that has introduced me to all kinds of cool imports and just really niche, cool stuff. I'm talking Dominic now. Go figure, he went for your Tale of the Sun, which is also done by the same developer here, Art Dink. And check out their discography. Some of it wasn't released in America. I think probably more than half of their PS1 library was not released here. I'm sure they've done games on PS2. In fact, they released an Aquanauts Holiday on PS3, and they're all just very artistic games. Put it that way. Like, they're trippy, trancy, more of an experience than like an objective based.
It's called Incredible Crisis. It's like really like out there.
Bizarre. See, that one's Aquanauts Holiday is more of a pointless experience. Try to give you the experience of exploring the ocean.
That Konami Classics one.
Oh, you got some good ones here.
That
one's always been kind of spicy. I wouldn't recommend it bang for its buck though, just because I don't know. Look what you're dealing with. Some early '80s arcade games, super classics. I personally am not so into them. If I'm buying PS1 games, I want games that scream PS1, like Distraga, hard to find Koei, 1v1 arena fighter, kind of Power Stone-esque, kind of what the fuck? Not Plasma Sword.
Like Dragon Ball meets Power Stone.
It's like Psychic Force.
Yeah,
Dragon Ball. It's like Dragon Ball meets Psychic Force meets Power Stone, which is kind of what Psychic Force is. Well balanced game. It's got kind of a rock paper scissors system to it, with risk reward on what moves you throw out. Looks polished. Looks like a very balanced fighter. Where I could see a scene developing behind this game where it's like, man, this game is like low key fun as hell and fun at a competitive level. So just a cool one, man, for how hard to find it is. A lot of people love this game because they played it in a demo, but they never got their hands on this full retail release. And this one's neat. One of those rare Psygnosis games that's very cerebral, as Phil likes to say. That's a Phil word.
Cerebral. I was gonna say it is cerebral.
It's a cerebral game.
It's gonna fuck with your head, man.
Yeah. So if you're into sci-fi, if you're into movies that Phil likes, you like Fifth Element and
that one's got a cool developer. That's the guys that do Hercules and or Herc and In the Hunt. And
that's the publisher, Phil. Now that's the publisher. But yeah, that is the same publisher behind Floating Runner, In the Hunt, Cocopelli. Yeah, Robopet. I've heard love for this game too. Looks like a 3D arena fighter, kind of virtual on-esque.
It's kind of like Custom Robo for Custom Robo.
Okay. One thing I like about it is just the color palette. Like, it looks very colorful. Kind of reminds me of Floating Runner. Yep. A lot of flat shaded polygons and bright, vibrant colors on Robopet. Not too expensive, I don't think. Maybe around 30.
I think it's closer to 40, 50, actually.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
It's been creeping and climbing. Ray Tracers is cool. This is the successor to Super HQ.
Yep.
Where it's like a combat racer. You ram your car into the bosses. In fact, this is a Taito. It says there, Taito Corp. So, don't always get fooled by a publisher, THQ. Another publisher that Phil has found a lot of love for is who did Shadow Madness?
Crave.
Crave, yeah.
Like
Crave on Dreamcast too. Crave on PS1. You can get some well-made games. Some of them are Japanese directed, developed games that are published by an American company, so they get branded. You might think it's just some low-budget racer, but totally not. Pick out a few more. Yeah, there's your game, Shadow Madness. This one comes highly recommended from Phil, and Phil's always had good taste, in my opinion. He's introduced me to a lot of games that were kind of like critically received mildly, just considered very mediocre, and those games tend to be the most forgotten, or they're just mediocre games. Really shitty games get remembered for being shitty. Really good games get remembered.
That game, like graphics, kind of average. Combat, very just simple.
Just acceptable RPG.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
Story, though, is like incredible.
The writing
is so fun. It keeps you engaged. That's what I like about it. because this writing's actually interesting.
I think the front cover deters a lot of your RPG fans too.
I actually
you know,
love that cover.
I think it's a little goofy.
I always thought he was underwater, but he's not.
No, I just thought it was like a goofy looking dude.
He is.
And to me, I wasn't even sure if this was.
But it fits the character.
Gotcha.
When they're playing it.
I didn't even know it was an RPG for the longest time, based on kind of how they show action on the front cover. But yeah, I feel like a lot of your RPG people that like what's seen up there, you know, with your Rhapsodies and your Tales of Destinies,
yeah.
and they would just overlook this because they judge a book by its cover. But there's more under the surface with that one. All right, I'll try to speed it up through here. Just point out a couple. Problem is, too many catch my eye. This one's very, very uncommon. And it's kind of a cool Japanese, I mean, of course Japanese, but it's kind of like a super puzzle fighter. I'd say it's like that, where it's, you know, a versus puzzle arcadey style game. Check it out, though. Check out Builder's Block. Another one of those Jalico games. Again, Jalico stuff, man. All the Jalico games will do this, but they give you a nice little, like, collect me, you know, just nice. No advertisement, you know, no cheesiness behind the cover, just kind of classy publishing job.
Chessboard's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's very, very odd looking, and you'll find that you're playing a game that's easy to get into and fun and hard to master. Future Cop, Metal Jesus, codename Tenka is.
That's actually a really good game.
I think this might be like the first FPS on the system. This is an early release, and it's a good FPS, old school style. Black car?
Yes, sir.
Whose black car
That's
is?
mine.
Can I get it moved? Because I need to use the dock
Oh, yeah.
to unload it.
Sorry about that.
Dude, it's okay. I started walking around trying to find somebody. I'm like,
I think it's got to be the
there's
people.
no way there's somebody else.
I'm really sorry about that,
Oh,
man.
man, that's all right. Dude, this is a man cave from hell right here. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. It's our video game HQ.
Well, you sell video games and stuff.
Chris, I can be done with this video here pretty quickly. I got to keep it rolling. Stick around. Just stick around for a second. You got to go?
Well,
I can't pause it. Let me knock it out. This is my last chance. Good rare pickup right there. Or, I'm sorry, the third one is. Toshinden 2 is not quite. Yeah, here we go. Very, very uncommon game right there. One sec, Chris. Recommend this one too. Look into it if you're into Bullfrog. If you're ever played Dungeon Keeper, played other cool Populous. Great developer there. Very rare game there. Underappreciated, overlooked. Gun shooter. Y'all know Horned Owl. Let's move on. Cheaper stuff. I'm not even going to look over it. Although I will say Tobal number 1. When you see this one in nice shape, kind of appreciate it. Same with R-Type Type 4. Not R-Type, Ridge Racer Type 4. The best Ridge Racer game. Good arcade racer. Aged well because of what it's trying to do. It's just trying to be fun, trying to control fun. But this one has, I think, an extra insert on top. Yeah, he's got it all. So find yourself a nice, fully complete copy of this and pick it up for what it's worth. Whatever the store wants, if they're reasonable. Treat yourself to a Ridge Racer 4. The Hive, this one got memed on. A friend of mine discovered how ungodly uncommon this game is, but it's dog shit. Like, nobody cares about it. So he posted about it in this PlayStation collecting group, and everybody FOMO'd out for it, and they all panicked, and bid wars broke out on eBay over this game, so it became kind of a meme. The Hive, you know, just like the epitome of a overhyped, like FOMO, just how ridiculous collectors can get, how much they can fight over a piece that they don't want to miss out on for something dumb. Terrible title there, The Hive. It's probably leveled out again, but still very uncommon. You know, if you can snag a copy for you know, under $30 for a nice complete copy, just grab it for the rarity's sake, man. You'll find some PS1 guy that remembers the Hive. He'll trade you off of it for more than 25, more than 30. All right, out of respect for Chris here, who's hung out, has been patient, I'll wrap this up. This is the kind of stuff that'll probably be around for future events. Can maybe show them off. Can't recommend this one enough, though, really quick. Again, Acclaim took the main publisher stage on that one, but this is a straight Taito arcade game. Very fun, very cool, very hipster title there. You're cool if you own RC Day Go. You got good taste. In Cold Blood is, I heard mixed things about it. I looked into it, watched some gameplay, and can't really recommend In Cold Blood, but it is uncommon. I think it's published by Dreamcatcher. Some rare games with the Dreamcatcher label on them. Pink Panther being kind of a chase piece. I doubt Phil ever acquired a Pink Panther. One of those rare, sought-after games because it's rare type games. Okay. It's got Starglider here by Capcom, that Star Wars style fighter. It's alright. Alright, yeah, we're slowing down here. This is all lower end stuff. Among the long box stuff, kind of went over it yesterday, but Psychic Detective is one to look into, and Fox Hunt if you're into FMV games and you want to own something that just very few people own, like Rare Media, Fox Hunt, and Psychic Detective. One more shout out to The Divide. One to look into, one to look at gameplay and just see if you like what you see, because we're talking about a very rare title there. I think I saw it all, Phil. Thank you for being patient. Thanks for spreading it out real nice. Thanks for making this video cool. I gave love to Dragon Valor already. I gave my love to it. Your work in design. Some of this you just don't need to say much about, you know. It's kind of like, do I really need to tell you that Einhander's good? Probably the best shooter on the system. A lot of people think it's the best shooter ever made. Of course, that's always debatable. But I think that'll do it, man. Thank you, Phil.
Yeah.
Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for letting me do that video. I'll just show you real quick another cool Jalico game. Always, you get a Jalico game, and they're just going to be nice inside. Jalico's going to do that for you.
I like that disc.
Everything about it, yeah. Everything always matches with Jalico. The disc will just match the rest of the theme going on. Kind of like Atlas will do that for you, too. They love you. Companies like Atlas, they love you. They take care of you. At least they used to. Back when they were trying. Back when they were trying to get fans. All right. That'll do it, man. That's a wrap. Another long video for you guys. Some PS1 learning. Sometimes you learn stuff just by being shown stuff, you know. See something you haven't seen. I do that all the time, where to get introduced to a game, I first have to see it. I have to know it exists, you know. So if nothing else, I know I couldn't really describe some of these games very well because I haven't played them all. But I think you more seasoned guys out there, if you see something you've never seen before, it's made by a certain publisher that you know is quality stuff, gives you a chance to check out gameplay on YouTube. I think that's always the best way to go about it, is just check out YouTube, see what it looks like, see what it plays like. Maybe there's a review for it. Maybe you'll find out about a game that you now want to add to the collection. So with that, man, take it easy, take care. Talk to y'all later.